Have you ever wondered how a person can go from being a regular citizen to a dictator with immense power? Today we delve into the early life of Adolf Hitler. Born in a small town in Austria in the year 1889, Hitler was the offspring of a local customs official and his much younger third wife. His father, a harsh and distant man, was an illegitimate child, and his lineage remains uncertain. Despite the rumors, there is no substantial evidence to suggest that Hitler's unidentified grandfather was Jewish. In contrast to his father, Hitler shared a closer bond with his mother. Her death from cancer when Hitler was merely 17 was a traumatic event that significantly impacted his life. Hitler's education was quite ordinary, and as a young man, he exhibited no extraordinary talents. He harbored dreams of studying art, and following his mother's death, moved to Vienna in the hopes of being accepted into art school. However, his aspirations were thwarted as he was rejected due to a perceived lack of talent. The origins of Hitler's anti-Semitism are shrouded in mystery, due to the scarcity of reliable information about his early life. His account in his book Mein Kampf is not entirely credible, as he tried to portray his adoption of anti-Semitic ideas as an early life event. It's important to note that while prejudice against Jews was prevalent in the early 20th century, there's no evidence suggesting that Hitler's family was particularly anti-Semitic. Hitler's years in Vienna, spanning from 1909 to 1913, were a critical period in his life. He later claimed that his anti-Semitic outlook was developed during this time. The city was a melting pot of ethnic conflict, with a large Jewish minority and an influx of migrants from different populations of the Austrian Empire. Hitler observed the success of the city's popular mayor, Führer, who capitalized on a virulently anti-Semitic program. As Hitler's dreams of becoming an artist were crushed, a new chapter was about to begin in his life. So when and how did Hitler's hatred for Jews emerge? This question takes us to the years Hitler spent in Vienna, from 1909 to 1913, a city that was a boiling pot of ethnic conflict and tension. Vienna's Jewish minority comprised about 10% of the population. Anti-Semitic sentiments were rife, stirred by the city's popular mayor, Führer, who was repeatedly re-elected on a staunchly anti-Semitic platform. In this charged environment, Hitler was exposed to a wide array of racist and anti-Semitic literature readily available in the city. Many of these works accused Jews of being the architects of modern capitalism, exploiting the hard work of non-Jewish individuals. These publications could have played a significant role in shaping Hitler's views about Jews. However, it's important to note that Hitler's interactions with Jewish people during this period weren't exclusively hostile. In fact, he was a regular visitor to a Jewish family's home, and his efforts to earn a living by selling paintings were largely supported by Jewish art dealers. This suggests that Hitler's anti-Semitic views weren't fully formed during his years in Vienna, contrary to what he later claimed. Following the Vienna years, Hitler served in the German army during World War I. The defeat of Germany in 1918 deeply disturbed him. Like many disappointed soldiers, he believed that the army had been stabbed in the back by traitors. Although German Jews had loyally supported their country during the war, they were more likely than other Germans to welcome the new democratic Weimar Republic established after the defeat. This could have further fueled Hitler's anti-Semitic sentiments. All these experiences and influences likely contributed to the emergence and evolution of Hitler's anti-Semitism. However, it's clear that this hatred didn't emerge suddenly or in isolation. While Hitler claimed his anti-Semitism started in Vienna, the evidence suggests a more complex picture. The development of Hitler's anti-Semitic views was a process influenced by a variety of factors and experiences throughout his early life. World War I was a turning point in Hitler's life, but how did it fuel his hatred for Jews? Despite being an Austrian by birth, Hitler voluntarily enlisted in the German army at the onset of World War I. For 4 long years, he served on the front lines, enduring the harsh realities of trench warfare. His commitment to the German cause was unwavering, yet despite his dedication, he never rose above the rank of corporal. The war was a bitter and disillusioning experience for Hitler. He saw firsthand the devastating impact of modern warfare, the loss of comrades, and the destruction of cities. But more than anything else, it was the defeat of Germany that deeply disturbed him. He, along with many other soldiers, felt betrayed. They believed they had been stabbed in the back by those they were fighting to protect. This stab-in-the-back myth, as it came to be known, was a powerful narrative that blamed Germany's defeat on internal traitors rather than military failure. And who were these supposed traitors? The Jews. Despite the fact that many German Jews had loyally supported their country during the war, they became scapegoats for the nation's defeat. The end of World War I also marked the birth of the Weimar Republic. This democratic government was seen by many, including a significant number of Jews, as a positive step forward for Germany. But for Hitler and those who felt betrayed by the defeat, the Weimar Republic represented everything that was wrong with Germany. They saw it as a government born out of betrayal and defeat. Hitler's experiences during World War I shaped his worldview and deepened his animosity towards Jews. He blamed them for Germany's defeat and saw them as a threat to the nation's future. His hatred, fueled by the war and its aftermath, would become a driving force in his rise to power. The defeat of Germany in World War I set the stage for Hitler's rise to power. The seeds of hatred planted, Hitler was ready for a path that would lead him to absolute power. After World War I, disillusioned and embittered, Hitler found solace in a small right-wing group known as the German Workers' Party. As he started to engage with this group, his charismatic speeches, fanning the flames of nationalism and anti-Semitism, quickly gained popularity. The year 1923 marked a significant turning point. A failed coup attempt known as the Beer Hall Putsch led to Hitler's arrest, but rather than silencing him, his trial provided a platform to spread his ideological venom further. In prison, he penned his infamous manifesto, Mein Kampf, which outlined his chilling vision for Germany's future, a future rooted in racial purity and German supremacy. Upon his release, Hitler set about rebuilding the Nazi Party, capitalizing on the economic turmoil of the time. He skillfully manipulated the grievances of the German people, promising them a return to glory by blaming the country's woes on Jews and communists. And so, the stage was set for Hitler's rise to power. In 1933, he was appointed as Chancellor of Germany, a position he used to consolidate his control. By the next year, following the death of President Hindenburg, Hitler declared himself Führer, the supreme leader of Germany. This gave him absolute power, enabling him to implement his aggressive expansionist policies and begin the systematic extermination of Jews, an atrocity that we now know as the Holocaust. Hitler, once a failed artist, had now become the most powerful man in Germany. But power, as history has shown us, can be a dangerous thing when wielded by those with malevolent intentions. The story of Hitler's rise serves as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences when hatred and prejudice are left unchecked. Every rise has a fall. Hitler's was no different. Adolf Hitler, a name that resonates with the horrors of World War II and the Holocaust, led Germany into a destructive path that ultimately led to its downfall. His ambition and ruthless strategies initially brought him success, but as the war progressed, the tide began to turn against him. During World War II, Hitler's leadership was characterized by a series of aggressive military strategies, including the invasion of Poland, which marked the beginning of the war, and the invasion of the Soviet Union. However, these victories were short-lived. The turning point came with the Battle of Stalingrad in 1942. The German army, under Hitler's command, suffered a devastating defeat, marking a significant turning point in the war. Simultaneously, the Holocaust, orchestrated by Hitler, was at its peak. It was his virulent hatred of Jews that led to the systematic extermination of 6 million Jews. This genocide stands as one of the most horrific acts of inhumanity in history. However, as the war continued, Hitler's grip on power began to weaken. The Allies were closing in, and defeat seemed imminent. Hitler's dream of a 1,000-year Reich was crumbling. His health was failing, and his mental stability was questioned. In the spring of 1945, as the Allies advanced towards Berlin, Hitler, along with his wife Eva Braun, retreated to his bunker, known as the Führer bunker. As the reality of defeat became undeniable, Hitler made the decision to end his life. On the 30th of April, Hitler and Braun committed suicide, their bodies later found by their aides. From a humble beginning to a dictator, and finally to a tragic end, the life of Adolf Hitler remains a stark reminder of the destructive power of hatred. His downfall serves as a cautionary tale of the perils of unchecked ambition, the manipulation of fear, and the disastrous consequences